What's up, G Show land, and welcome to another episode of the G Show podcast. I am G1, and this is the Geek Out, episode 5. Today we got a lot to talk about. A crazy amount of things dropped last week. A lot of movie release dates we're going over today. But before we get into any of that, let me introduce you to my guests. Once again, joining me for the 5th week in a row, we got my man Chris, a.k.a. C. Monty. What's up, my brother?
What's up? Welcome to the Empire Strikes Back of Geek Show, episode 5.
That's right. Also joining us, we got my man G62. Alex, what's up, my brother?
Hey guys, got to be back as always.
And of course, my right-hand man, G95 Matt. What's going on, brother?
Oh, living the dream.
That's right. We all are. We all are. Speaking of living the dreams, this week was a dream. But before we get into any of that, I just want to throw this out here and brag a bit. I told you I was going to do this. I was fortunate enough last night to be invited to a screening of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Bam. And I just want to say, it is everything you want it to be. It's awesome. I am not comparing it to the first one because the first one is just a piece of brilliance. I don't know if you can actually live up to that hype. It's not like Empire Strikes Back in that sense, but it is fucking good. I had no complaints about that movie. I loved every minute of it. James Gunn, kudos, bro. I'm going to see it again because I got my tickets for next week, so I'm going to see it 2 more times next week. But yes, I'll tell you this, man. Awesome. I dug the shit out of it. So yeah, Guardians 2, everybody, go check it out. Serious. So that little bit of bragging aside, let's get right into it. This week we got the first trailer for the Kingsman. This is what we're going to start off with. Kingsman, the Golden Circle trailer dropped this week. So Matt, you seen the trailer? Did you see the first Kingsman?
Of course.
Okay. You enjoyed the first Kingsman?
I fucking loved the first Kingsman.
Okay. What did you think of this trailer?
I don't know. When I saw the first Kingsman, I wasn't really expecting much. I thought it was just going to be kind of dull, especially based on the trailer, because I'd never heard of the comic. But I was obviously blown away by it. I thought it was one of the best movies of 2015. Yeah, 2015. And I also think this trailer was a little bit underwhelming, considering like what's probably in store for us. But I'm I'll say that I'm very excited for the movie, but I'm not basing my excitement off of the trailer, if that makes any sense, because I was a little underwhelmed by it.
Makes perfect sense. Alex, what about you? You see the first Kingsman movie?
No, I never did. This is the first time I've seen anything related to Kingsman.
Yeah, you got homework to do, brother. You need to see that movie sometime this month in May. Check it out, dude. Serious, great film.
I know. I literally just watched the trailer like 10 minutes ago. It got me wanting to get into the series. I enjoy the concept of it. It looks pretty interesting. I definitely want to go back, watch the first Kingsman, then watch this one because it does look interesting. The whole concept of the series looks interesting. It looks like it has great actors in it, so I do want to give it a shot. So, that being said, I'm going to definitely see the first one this week, and then whenever this comes out, I'm definitely going to see it. So that's my take on it.
Gotcha. Chris, you've seen the first Kingsman movie, correct?
Of course.
What'd you think of that movie?
I loved the first Kingsman. It was a pleasant little surprise. I mean, I had the same experience as Matt in terms of the trailer isn't what sold me on it. It was the fact of the director of Matt. I can't remember his last name, but
Matthew
he did
Vaughn.
First Class. He did he did First Class. He did Kick-Ass and everything like that. So I was impressed with his resume. So I was like, I'll check this movie out. He's doing a James Bond style kind of thing. And I loved it. I loved, how Sam Jackson basically played a villain that was Russell Simmons.
Word.
I loved Eggsy. I love Mark Strong. Mark Strong is always, a sell for me on any movie or whatever like that he's in. Colin Firth pleasantly surprised me because he's he's normally the stodgy kind of posh Britishman.
Yes.
And he was that in this movie too, but he was a badass posh Britishman. So I really dug him in that. So the first movie was really good. So like as Matt said, this trailer doesn't really reveal much. It doesn't really show much in terms of like what you should expect in the movie. So it's not really the trailer that's selling me. It's the experience with the first movie where I'm like, okay, I got to see this. I got to check it out and see what the follow-up is.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, it's funny. A lot of people across the board said the same thing. I actually loved this trailer. I did. I saw it and I was like, wow, okay. I was sold already because the Kingsman one is phenomenal. And I had zero interest in that movie when it came out. Zero. And I remember my friend telling me, dude, you have to see this movie. And I was like, I don't care about it. And one day I put it on HBO and was like, oh my God, I'm so mad I didn't see this in the theater because it's amazing. But the trailer, I enjoyed this Kingsman 2 trailer. I love the idea of the statesman that Channing Tatum was, the American version of King. I just love that idea. And, you know, some of the sequences for me, like, kind of like, I was like, whoa. For instance, Eggsy with the car, when he does whatever he does as the cars are driving, he kind of like, I don't know, jumps up, like doing a push-up type craziness. I was just like, yep, okay, I'm in. I was sold because of the first movie. The trailer was awesome. I loved it. And that is definitely the shortest segment we've ever done on this podcast. Jump into part 2.
Netflix said just one thing I was a little bit annoyed about was them kind of, I mean, we probably all knew it because we probably read from articles about it. It was a little bit annoying that they showed Colin Firth at the end.
Yeah.
Like, I think that should have been left as a reveal for the movie.
Yeah, I agree. But his name's also on the poster, too. So that's kind of like if you're into the posters type shit, you'd be like, wait, Colin Firth, what? But no, I agree with you.
Without knowing anything about it, you could have been like, oh, maybe it's a flashback or something like that. You know, this pretty much straight up reveals that he's an active part of this plot.
Yeah, I don't think you're right. They didn't need to show that at all because the movie's pretty much the first movie selling this movie, you know? So yeah, I agree with you there. But
well, I also think it's kind of like no big surprise that he's coming back either. Like, I don't think it's as big of a shocker as some people might think it is. You know, like I'm totally unsurprised that he's back and that he was in the trailer and that he's going to be a big part of the movie because that's just kind of what those spy kind of movies do.
And we're saying all this. Yeah. We're saying all this, and of course, Alex has not seen the first Kingsman.
Oh, sorry.
But okay, something Alex has seen and something we've all seen: the Marvel Cinematic Universe doing press tours for Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2, which I saw, Volume 2, I should say, which I've seen yesterday. Zoe Saldana was talking about how they just wrapped on Infinity War. And how in a couple of months, or a couple of weeks, I forget what she said, that they're ready to go back to start filming, her quote, Gauntlet. Now, of course, everybody in this geek community went crazy for that. Did she slip? Did she let loose the title for Avengers 4? Is it a play title, kind of like Blue Harvest was for Return of the Jedi? Or is it the logical step? I mean, the comic is Infinity Gauntlet. Is it the logical step? So, Chris, let me ask you, do you think she slipped, or you think she was that the execs was like, no, that's fine, you can say what you want?
I think it doesn't fucking matter either way. Like, honestly, they already called the first one Infinity War, so we know that it's going to be about Thanos and the Infinity Gems. So, who really cares? Obviously, if you're a comic book fan, you know the Gauntlet's going to be involved. Like, he has to wear the Gauntlet to wear the Infinity Gem. So, what difference? It's not like they had this whole thing leading up to it saying, "Oh, we can't reveal the title because it's a spoiler." How's it a spoiler? Infinity War is a spoiler for what's going on in that movie. That's the War of the Infinity Gems. We all know what's coming, so it doesn't really matter to me.
Huh? Alex, what about you?
I just like he said, but I do feel like she did slip up. Or it was just a placeholder in whatever she read, like the script or whatever. But, you know, it makes sense that the last one, the last Avengers movie has to be, you know, the Gauntlet. Because we did see in, I forgot which movie had the secret ending, but he held the Gauntlet in his hand, you know, and says that he has to do it himself. So we know it's coming. We know the Gauntlet is coming. The question is that, you know, is the title Gauntlet or was it a placeholder? But regardless, we all know that movie is all about the Gauntlet.
Yeah, it is. Matt, what about you?
Just like Chris, I think it really doesn't matter that much. But I do think it was probably a bit of a slip. Just how just casually she said it, and when there would be like a big announcement for it, that was something that was okay, But again, I don't think it matters that much.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you guys all like, y'all don't care. I care. I do. I care a lot. Because I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you, I remember the first time I ever read Infinity Gauntlet. I was in the Red Hook Library. I think I was in the 5th or the 6th grade. I'm not sure. And I was like, yo, they just killed everybody. Oh my God, Spider-Man's dead. Iron Man's head's bouncing. This is not a spoiler. This book's been out for almost 30 years. And I was like, holy fucking shit that we actually, we took the book home by, and this is blasphemy, ripping the back page off. So when we walked through the bars, it wouldn't beep because we took the barcode off by ripping the back page. So that was terrible because we shouldn't have done that. But the Infinity Gauntlet, it's the logical step. For me, it's a lot. It's a fanboy thing, you know what I'm saying? So I geeked out with that because if she did slip, and it is called Infinity Gauntlet, granted, you're right, it's not a spoiler because we know it's coming. And they said we can't reveal the title because it would be a spoiler. So what's the spoiler? I'll tell you right now, it's probably Avengers Disassembled or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah, but we kind of already got that in Civil War, though.
We got Civil War, but yeah. Or I bet you any amount of money it's going to be called New Avengers. That's what it's going to be called.
You see the thing about like disassemblings that we're already going through a huge disassemble already. Everyone's, having breakdowns. Everyone's losing their friends, the teams. So it's kind of weird that, say, in Infinity War, everyone groups up and then they get disassembled again. I feel like we just went through that.
I think the disassemble means they all getting taken out. Because that's what in that comic book. In that comic book, that's basically what happened. Was it Scarlet Witch that started the whole thing? Yeah, I think it was all Scarlet Witch. They got systematically taken out, like they were done.
But that was exclusively the X-Men with the Scarlet Witch, with no more, saying
that was
mutants.
That was House of M. That was after the Avengers. I forgot who was it that did it all? If I'm not mistaken, it was Scarlet Witch, where She-Hulk went on a rampage. She killed Vision. She ripped him apart. Jack of Hearts got blown up, or he was already dead and came back as a zombie and then blew up. That's where Hawkeye dies. He takes the bomb to the Kree ship and gets blown up. That's what it was. It wasn't them breaking up because they had in a turmoil like Civil War. It was, Avengers basically no more. We got slaughtered. So I'm thinking maybe it's Avengers Disassembled, but I could see New Avengers because they are starting to push the new, not Phase 4, but that's the beginning of the next wave. Or Guardians 3 is, but it's all in the same vein. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I guess, and framed in that context, it does kind of make sense that they would say that Gauntlet would be a spoiler if they're going, because up until this point, Marvel hasn't really been to the letter with their adaptations of the comic storylines and everything like that. Obviously, Civil War wasn't exactly like the Civil War comic,
right?
So it's a spoiler in the sense of if they do it that way, where they go to the letter, and people start dying. Because we know there's talks about, Robert Downey Jr. might not renew his contract after this movie and all this stuff going on. A lot of the contract stuff is up in the air. So a lot of these characters might start getting written out and new characters brought in. So I suppose it makes sense to say that, Gauntlet, calling it Gauntlet would be a spoiler in that sense that reveals to the hardcore fans that, holy shit, people might start dying in these movies, and that'd be it for them. But still, at the end, like I said, it's coming. It's going to be this huge, dynamic shift in the cinematic universe. Things are going to change drastically, and we're going to move on from there. So it's not that huge of a spoiler.
I miss the days when they would just say Avengers 1, Avengers 2, Avengers 3, The Revenge. Shit like that. If I start naming the Geek Out podcast, I'm going to go crazy. It's the episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are on 5. Speaking of 5, we're going back to 3. Young Justice Season 3. That was a terrible lead-in, by the way. Terrible. You guys got to stop me when I do shit like that. I'm telling you guys. Come on.
You kind of barrel through things, though, bro. We can't stop you.
It's true. I'm a big burly guy. Young Justice Season 3 is coming out next year. Now, look, I'm super excited about that because I am a freaking fanatic for Young Justice. I thought that cartoon was unfucking real. One of the best animated comic book shows since the Timverse. But what really gets me hyped is that it's called Outsiders. And if you know your comic book shit, man, Batman and the Outsiders, I love this team. It's just, if this is where they go, like in the comic books, the Outsiders was kind of like, not a Black Ops team, but they got their hands dirtier than, let's say, the Justice League. And we just talked about that last week with X-Force being a really hardcore Black Ops team. So, are we going to get do you think we're going to get maybe a small adaptation of the Outsiders from the comics, or are they just throwing that title in there because maybe now these kids are moving on, they're not so young anymore, and they're on the outside looking in? That sounded terrible. Alex, I'm starting with you. What do you think?
I think it could be a mix. I don't think they're going to strictly, go through the plots of Outsiders, but I think they will grab the characters. I think they'll grab the essence of what Outsiders was. I think they're definitely going to go gritty because already they're introducing so many, unique characters already, and I feel like maybe there's a chance where, they could, put in, like, say, Red Hood or some other darker characters that are, popular and famous, and especially since it's not on TV, right. That is the key where they could actually pull it off, where they can do a darker script and not worry about children watching or something. So I feel like they could do it.
Now you make a really good point with the grittiness because season 2 was fucking gritty, especially. I mean, hold up, has all of you seen Young Justice seasons 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so good. It was gritty, especially season 2, especially when they did the whole Artemis arc, which blew my mind. Was great. Just straight up superhero television. I loved it. So, Chris, what about you? What do you get from the title? And do you agree with Alex being on this WB app now, the streaming service that they're coming out with? Can we get even darker?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like, we've seen already on Netflix how willing they're let their superhero properties get dark, like in terms of the Marvel stuff and everything like that. So when you're not really beholden to sponsors and making stuff friendly for sponsor content, you can explore a little bit darker themes. You don't have like sponsors coming and saying, well, we like to keep things family friendly so we can sell our products to more people. So you got to tone it down. If it's a subscribed service, which I'll get into my feelings on that in a second, but yeah. If it's a subscribed service, you can people are paying for this. You can do pretty much more what you want and give the fan base more of what they want. And I'm excited for it, particularly because about 2 times to actually get into Young Justice, because the first time I tried to give it a shot, I wasn't really into it. I thought it was too kiddie. Friends kept selling me on it and selling me, you got to check it out, you got to give it a shot, you got to give it a chance. And then finally I got into it and I got hooked and I watched the first 2 seasons and it ended the way that it did.
Yeah.
With Vandal Savage greeting Darkseid. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and this is what you're going to leave me on? This is what you're leaving me on? So I'm so hyped about a 3rd season. And in particular, I think the thing of the Outsiders, because I feel like it's going to be kind of like, kind of how Speedy was at first when they first said you're going to be Young Justice, like you're going to be the younger Justice League, you're still going to be like our sidekicks. And Speedy's like, nah, I'm not a sidekick, dude. I do my own thing. So I feel like this is what it's going to come to with them is they're going to be when Vandal Savage had his whole plot going on, you guys got taken over. Like the actual Justice League got taken over. We handled that shit. We took care of that shit. We don't answer to you anymore. We're our own thing. We can do this on our own. And I feel like that's where kind of the Outsiders thing comes from because they're not really necessarily they'll work with the Justice League when they need to, but they're not going to take orders from them anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, what about you?
Well, jumping off of what Chris was saying, I think season 2 already kind of did that with their 3-year or 5-year time jump to where their Robin became Nightwing and some of them were retired and stuff, and there was a whole new roster of Young Justice team. I think that's they kind of already did that where they graduated a bit and were more on their own. So I think this is I feel like this season 3 won't have anything to do with really the Justice League. You know, it's these characters are established enough, and they're taking a chance enough to debut this on a streaming service that not as many people are going to watch, so they don't have to pander to as many audiences who might only watch for Batman or whatever. So I think it's going to be based more around our characters that we got to know in the first 2 seasons, but I don't think that necessarily means it's going to be darker. I mean, it probably is, but season 2 was already pretty dark as fuck. Season 1 was pretty dark as fuck. Like, that whole thing with Speedy being a clone and, you know, losing his arm and stuff, like, that was darkest shit ever in the show to me. Yeah. But I don't
yeah,
think it needs to be dark to be good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they'll find a way to wrap up the whole dark side thing, because they left that on a cliffhanger. But it sounds like the new season won't have anything to do with dark side. But I guess we'll wait and see. It was one of my favorite shows. I don't know. I think it's up there with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited in terms of quality.
Absolutely.
And storytelling.
Completely agree.
If not possibly better than Justice League Unlimited Season 1 or Justice League Season 3, however you prefer to say it. It's like on par with that kind of storytelling. So I'm excited for it, no matter where it's premiering, what characters are going to be in it, or what story they're going to do.
I've always said, if you take the animation from Young Justice and you put it in Justice League Unlimited Season 1, especially with that ending, forget about it. You got the greatest animated shit on television ever, because it's just a beautiful marriage. Something you all pointed out, and I want to get to, because this is definitely something that's going to be on our heads, the WB streaming service. What do you think about that, Chris? I heard you had something to say. Everybody brought it up. What's your take on that, Chris? I think
I mean, it makes sense in a certain way, like, but only if WB is going to pull all their stuff from other mediums and like have it exclusive. Because like, the thing is like, we're getting to a point now where it's too much with the streaming services. Like, people aren't going to pay $8 a month for 40 different streaming services just to be able to watch the shows they want to watch. Like, I already have Netflix, and I was expecting Young Justice Season 3 to come out on Netflix. That was the original announcement. Then Netflix had picked it up, and now they're saying they're going to pull it and put it on the... I'm not going to sign up for a whole new streaming service.
Right.
Just to watch Young Justice Season 3. So more than likely, and I'll freely admit that more than likely, I'm going to pirate this shit.
Oh, yeah, but...
Because I'm not going to pay... You know, I'm not going to pay like $8, $10 a month for a whole new service just to watch one show.
Right.
Now, if it's a thing like if, like, you know, that'll be the only way for me to access shows like the original Justice League, they're going to pull that from Netflix and Justice League Unlimited from Netflix and put it exclusively on that, and they start coming up with a whole bunch of new content, then I might consider it. But, like, right now, it's kind of like you're playing long odds with that, because people aren't going to necessarily feel like, I already have Netflix, I already have Hulu, I already have this, and this. Am I really going to sign up for a whole new service just to watch one show? No, I'm just going to download it. I'm going to torrent it.
Right. I mean, you know what kills me? They already have the WB app. I don't know why they don't just use that. Because I use that to watch, like, Flash. If I miss Flash or Supergirl, I use that to watch it. My wife watches Rain and Supernatural. So we use that when we miss it, because we don't have DVR anymore. So I don't know why they don't just use that.
You're talking about CWC and everything like that. I think WB wants to do its own thing independent even of, like, what they have on the CW. Because you say you have other CW shows on CWC that have nothing to do with the Warner Brothers properties.
Okay, got you.
So, like, I think that's what they're moving towards, is to having, like, a DC exclusive streaming service. But they'd have to bring a lot of stuff to that to make it worth the investment of paying, like, another $100 a year for you know, like, you're paying $10 a month, $120 a year for a whole new streaming service to have, like, what, 2 or 3 shows?
He's right. Matt, what do you think about that?
I definitely see your point, and I do agree to an extent, but there are streaming services out there that are only like $4 a month. Like, there's, you know, several, especially the smaller ones. because they're not going to start off with, $8, $10, $12 a month if they only have like 7 or 8 shows. Because Warner Brothers is definitely going to add more shows to their streaming service. It's not just going to be Young Justice and whatever else. But that being said, I will sign up for it, just so I can watch Young Justice as it comes out, and Teen Titans too, because that's premiering on that app too, and I think that's definitely worth it. And chances are they'll get released on Blu-ray down the line, and once that happens, I'll have no reason to keep that subscription, and I'll just buy the Blu-rays and watch it as I see fit. And if Young Justice season 4 by chance happens, or Teen Titans does really well, then I'll sign back up again. But I'm willing to shell out money just to support these shows, because we're fucking blessed to have a season 3. It's insane, and we're so lucky that the fan support was so overwhelming that studios were like, okay, we can give this another shot.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to squander that. I mean, I totally understand torrenting. It's a pain in the ass to watch shows on a stream, like an exclusive show on a streaming service, or I even have trouble keeping up with CW shows, because I fucking hate the CW Seed app. It's terrible.
Come on, I love that app.
So I understand it. I don't blame anybody for it, but I'm definitely going to support these shows, because it's not going to be on a big network. It's not going to be anything like that. So they need all the help they can get, and I'm happy to do it for a show that we're really lucky to have.
Alex.
That's fair. I think you might have just sold me on signing up for that thing now.
I'm going to take a different approach on this and say I kind of disagree with Matt, because he had many issues with this. One is that we know that Netflix was a big part of it coming back. They said, watch the series, the first 2 seasons many times. How many views will it get? And then bam, we all thought that it was going to be on Netflix, and it's not happening. And I feel like, Warner Brothers is looking at this and being like, look, there was rumors, months ago that Marvel wants, or Disney wants to make their own app for their own stuff, for all the Marvel cartoons and movies, and not having Netflix on anymore. So look at it, look, superheroes is making a lot of money. We can make it its own channel. And it's coming to the point where if Marvel's going to have its own app, and DC's going to have its own app, and if it's popular enough, then maybe they'll separate it on to cartoons and real-life movies. It's getting to the point where it's too much, at least for me. As much as I love the stuff and I love the content, I don't think I could, push myself to get all these apps and all these, paying for all these streaming services and stuff. It's too much for me. And also, I feel like it's also screwing up with the team of Young Justice, because they already got screwed up with the original series, where they said like the toy lines is what made the original series fail.
Yep.
And now they're going to get a series, or go into an app that probably a lot of people are not going to get, because people don't have all the money these days, the economy, etc. And now they're going to get screwed up again, and then there probably won't be a season 4. I just feel bad for the team. I feel bad because they work really hard, and they're just getting screwed like every time. So for me, at least, I don't approve of it.
At the end of the day, I think with like you said, the boom, the superhero boom, it makes money. I think a lot more people would get the app if they're that hungry. And like Chris said, depending on the content, because like all you guys make very, very valid points. Like Chris said, content is key. I'm not going to get this for one show. I'll pirate it. Like Matt said, I'll get it, but then down the line when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll just watch that. A lot of these things have that already, If they're going to make an app and they're going to put, let's say, all the DC animated movies on, well, I already own about 90% of that. I don't need the app for that, I own it. So, yeah, I agree with all of you. I'm looking to see, I'm really anticipating to see what they're going to do, what this app is going to have, the streaming service, I should say, is going to have. There's a lot to it. So, if it's just like superhero based, if it's just like for the comic book fans and shit like that, more than likely I'm gonna get it. But that's also dependent, like you guys said, the content. If it's old content I have, I don't need it. And yeah, I might go other avenues to look for Young Justice Season 3. Netflix, it should have just stayed on Netflix because Netflix gave it the life. It brought it back to life. It resurrected it. The people came out in droves and watched it. So I don't know. I guess these companies nowadays, they're just like, nah, screw Netflix. Kind of like what Disney did to Amazon. When Rogue One was coming out, I was like, why isn't Rogue One available for pre-order? What's going on? Disney and Amazon was having some kind of a thing. So I had to go to Walmart and buy Rogue One when it came out. Good thing I got it there too, because it was $20. It was $20. It was $10 off the good Blu-ray. But anyhow, speaking of Star Wars, I think
hold on, I just want to say, I think ultimately what it's going to come down to, what it's going to have to come down to, is a dynamic shift in the way these things are packaged. I'm going to have to apply the old cable thing, the old cable model to internet TV, where like now what you have is you have these cable companies that are acting as internet service providers, and you get like the cable, you get the internet, you get the phone and everything. Nobody uses landlines anymore for phones. We all have cell phones. And nobody really watch, like you get cable and you have like 100, 200 some odd channels, and you watch maybe like 10 of them.
If that.
So like what's going to have to happen, I think you have to start dropping cable, make everything through internet, and you just set up packages where you can like pick and choose which streaming services you're going to have on your internet package. I watch some shows on NBC, so I want the NBC package, and I want the Fox package, and I want the DC package and the Netflix package and everything like that. And then you pay $40, $50 a month for this internet stuff, and you just get all this stuff included.
That's if you was to see my Xbox One right now, that's exactly what it is. Because we have cable, but we got cable through the community we live in, and the cable provider is also my internet provider, and it costs the same thing for the cable than it was the internet. It was the same exact price, the same internet speed. So I was like, yeah, why not? We're paying this anyway for the internet. Why not get a couple of channels? It's not all the channels. We don't watch all the channels, but it was something good. It was something nice to have. So you're absolutely right. All of my shit is on my Xbox. My apps. I got all the apps from NBC to Fox, FX, HBO Go, all that.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like the service providers can work out a deal with these independent subscription services where instead of having to pay I'm paying $50 a month for cable and I'm getting NBC, blah, 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 and then I have to pay an additional $8 for Netflix, an additional $10 for this, an additional $4 for that, and everything like that. They work out a deal with these streaming services where it's all just part of that package, where so I can pay $50 a month and get Netflix included, and then whatever I'm paying to cable then pays to Netflix.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
It makes a lot of sense.
Like the deals that they used to work out with the networks.
Exactly. Well, let's hope that's, a little time away. I like this situation we're in right now. I'm comfortable with it. I'm in a comfort zone. Speaking of comfort zones, I'm not comfortable with this. Star Wars Episode 9 has officially been moved to May 2019. Now, a lot of people are happy about that, purists especially, and I'm a Star Wars purist. Yes, I didn't see the first movie in the theaters because I wasn't born yet. But I've seen Empire and I've seen Return of the Jedi in theaters. And I've seen every movie since in theaters. I get people love Star Wars in May. I actually am a fan of Star Wars in December because there's never really no competition in December. And I'm going to get to this big spiel. I'm sure everybody got something to say about this. December was a perfect place because not only is it Christmas, but then it's Star Wars. So you get 2 bangs for your bucks. And if you're not like Christian or Catholic or will celebrate Christmas, there's some type of holiday in that area that you get 2 bangs for your bucks. And if you're not into any of those holiday things, you still get Star Wars. So it's always something beautiful at the end of the year to look forward to. We're getting Star Wars. As a diehard Star Wars fan, I loved it there. You didn't have to worry about, well, I need to go to the movies next week to see this. No, if I'm going to the movies again, I'm going to see Star Wars. Whereas now in May, what is different from before, when Star Wars came out, was that was the blockbuster. That was the event movie. It still is, But there's a million event movies coming out now. So you're going to put Star Wars back in May, and then what comes out a week later? Let's say Avengers. Or that's 2 weeks, actually, later. Avengers. Or there's a DC movie. Or there's a Transformers movie. Or here's the new Fast and Furious. Or here's the new Universal Mummy movie, Monster Universe. The competition is stacked. I mean, I get more people might come out in droves in May to see Star Wars opening weekend because it's a nice weather, whatever. But did we not see what Force Awakens did? Did we not see what Rogue One did? Do we not see what when Last Jedi comes out this December, the fucking buku bucks it makes and continues to make because of where it's placed? I just think it's a bad move, and I know, a lot of people disagree with me, and that's totally fine. I get the May thing, but I don't understand it now in today's day and age. So let me ask you, Chris, what do you think?
I mean, you make a lot of valid points. December usually doesn't have a lot of competition and everything like that, so they tend to make more money in that month. But I also think it's a genius move for 2 reasons. One, because it honors the original premiere of the first Star Wars, so it's like a nice little bookend thing. It's it's an homage to that. It bookends from when the very first Star Wars movie ever came out to now. Even though we're going to continue to get standalone Star Wars movies, this is the bookend. This is the closing of the Skywalker saga. This is the last movie tied to the Skywalkers that we're going to get. And then from there, it's going to move on into whatever direction it moves on to. So I think it makes sense in that way that the Skywalker story started in May. It's going to end in May. Also, I mean, let's be honest. Like you said, there's going to be a lot of movies coming out for the summer, and it's going to be week, next week this, next week that, next week that. But like I said, this is the final episode of the original Star Wars saga. Let's not pretend that there is any real competition to that. This is going to be the thing that closes out the entire saga. That is going to dominate. Mark my words on this one, because I know I've had to eat my words in the past, and especially when we had that thing about last week when I said Fast and the Furious was going to break $1 billion by the second weekend. I had to eat my words on that. Mark my words on this, is that this is going to be the biggest Star Wars movie to date all time, because it's going to be the closing of the saga, dominate the theaters for at least 2 to 3 weeks, if not more. That's my prediction. I'm sticking with that. If I have to eat my words, I eat my words, but I honestly feel like I won't have to.
Oh, look at you. All right. Well, Matt, what do you think?
You both make very compelling arguments. The bookend thing is I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's a really good point. But I also get what you're saying about the May or December doesn't have a lot going on movie wise, but like Chris said, it's fucking Star Wars. They're no matter what other big huge blockbuster is coming out, it's Star Wars. It's gonna make the most money out of. It's gonna make more money than any other at that time, and release dates change all the time. I don't think Star Wars is going to change, but I think any other movies that are big movies that are coming around at that time might shift their dates a little bit to adjust for the competition, the big fucking competition that they got now. So I think it'll work out. I mean, I have a friend who's upset about it because he won't get to see Star Wars in IMAX 5 times like he did.
Yeah.
In her Force Awakens, but that's like a really kind of an insignificant problem to have. I mean, seeing it 2 times, I feel like that's probably enough. But yeah, I think whatever happens, it's gonna work out.
I don't know about all that. I go see Star Wars as many times as the episode tells me to. So if it's episode 9, 9 times, I'm in. I don't care. Alex?
I'm definitely going to go see that movie. I'm definitely going to go see that movie in every single format that there's available. I'm going to see it in IMAX. I'm going to see it in regular. I'm going to see it in regular 3D. I'm going to see it in IMAX 3D. I'm going to see it in 4DX, Dolby, RPX, every format that's available. I am seeing that movie in. I will go broke.
Dare Billy, take my money.
Exactly.
Alex, what about you, brother? Do you like this move to May?
I get that they want to pay homage to the first Star Wars film, but we're all used to having in December. There are too many movies, too many franchises happening in May and June-ish, and I like to spread my year out with, okay, in the wintertime it's Star Wars because we're used to that already. In the beginning of the springish summer, we're getting our superhero monster films now. So I'm ready. Like, my mind is set already, and people are already used to it. And honestly, in December, when it's the only thing out, I think they will make more money than in May. Don't get me wrong. I think it will make $1 billion,
right?
In May. But I think everyone will be just concentrating on one thing. The toy line, they'll be concentrating on one thing. And if you have, say, you go to Toys R Us in May, you're gonna see Godzilla. You're gonna see Suicide Squad. You're going to see Spider-Man. You're going to see everything all at once in Toys R Us, while, say, in December, you're going to have one huge section in the front of just Star Wars. I think it just benefits everyone in December more than May. That's my opinion. So, hopefully they do change it in December. I doubt it, but I'd rather have it in December.
There's no doubt about this movie's going to make gangbuster money. It is going to crush the box office. But yeah, you make very valid points. 2019 is stacked, man. You do have Godzilla, King of Monsters, and that's my second favorite thing in the whole wide world after Star Wars. So I'm already, if it's in May, I'll tell you this. If Episode 9 does not come out on May the 4th, there's issues, there's problems. I don't care if May the 4th is on a Monday. It needs to come out that day. It'll be perfect. You talk about bookends. That's how you do it. Speaking of bookends,
real quick, I just want to add another thing to my list of predictions.
Yeah, you know what? Go ahead.
I know you and I had this discussion where I previously said that to date, without adjusting for inflation, not a single movie has ever made $1 billion at the box office domestically. I am saying right here, right now, this will be the movie to do it. Without adjusting for inflation, this movie is going to make $1 billion domestically at the box office.
But I said that I believe Episode 8 is going to do that. I honestly believe it's going to do that.
Episode 9 definitely will.
I agree. I totally agree. Star Wars will be the first to break that $1 billion domestically. Unless, of course, Godzilla. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. But I'll tell you what's not going to break $1 billion domestically. I don't even think it's going to break $1 billion, period. And no offense, this is one of my favorite franchises. That's Indiana Jones. You got another one coming out starring Harrison Ford in 2020. He's going to be like almost 80. I'm okay, so I love this franchise. I even like Crystal Skull. I do. I love it. It's the thing about aliens. I love aliens. But if Harrison Ford is going to be in this movie, I can't see him donning the fedora and the bullwhip and running back out there in indie action. Maybe he's sitting down telling a story and we get a Chris Pratt or some young up-and-coming buck to take on the role and lead us into a new, era of Indiana Jones movies. But if it's Harrison Ford doing Indiana Jones shit, I just can't buy that. I can't buy that at all, and it needs to go to bed, this movie. So, Matt, let me ask you, what do you think about Indiana Jones coming out in 2020? And do you want to see Harrison Ford running around at 80?
I mean, it's Indiana Jones, so it's an obligatory franchise that you gotta see, no matter how shitty it is. Cough, cough, Crystal Skull.
Stop.
But I don't know. I felt like The Last Crusade was good where they left it. They don't need to keep churning it out, but if Harrison Ford wants to make another movie, then awesome, because he's one of those guys that's like, he's been in so much iconic stuff, from Star Wars to Indiana Jones to Blade Runner to,
everything else.
You'll name you'll hit an awesome movie that he's in. But this is like one of the only characters that he actually really loves and cares about and is excited to play. So, you know, like, if he wants to do another one, then all for it. You know, that's great.
Alex, you agree? Disagree?
I disagree. I feel like we're getting a Terminator Genesis kind of vibe from this. You know, they're trying to push a franchise. They're pushing, you know, old actors. And I feel like just the last movie just ended perfectly. I don't feel like there should be another one, you know. You know, I guess Harrison Ford really wants to do one, but I feel like his performance in the last one was just perfect. Just, you know, just retire the franchise, you know, start with a new guy, if anything. But, you know, I feel like his saga was finished in the last one.
Gotcha. Chris, let me ask you. Indy and Marion, married at the end. Is Shia LaBeouf coming back?
God, I hope not.
Come on, man. Leave Shia alone. He's the man.
I mean, he's a cool dude and everything like that. I don't want to see this particular franchise. You know, a couple of the names that got mentioned, I do feel like Chris Pratt or somebody like that, and to that effect would be like a more appropriate person to pass the torch onto. So they could either recast Chris Pratt as Mud or whatever the fuck his name, Shia LaBeouf's character's name was in that movie. Mike or whatever. Or they could just have it be someone like him, Indy, passing the torch on to someone who's like not related to him. But I do feel like this will be like somewhere between what Matt described and what Alex described and everything like that. Like, this will be an Indiana Jones movie, but it won't really be Indy. It'll be like he'll play the Sean Connery role from Last Crusade. And it's really all about the next generation taking over, because obviously Disney wants to keep the franchise going, but we've gotten that point where Harrison Ford really is getting too old to keep put down in the hat and the whip. 100-year-old Han Solo, Indiana Jones. So I feel like it's going to be like, he's going to do the same thing like in Star Wars. He's like, okay, it's time for me to ease out. Maybe he'll die at some point in this movie. Maybe he'll just retire. Whatever. But I think this is going to be like they kind of tried to make Crystal Skull the passing of the torch film, and then they didn't do it at the end. And I feel like this is going to be the movie that's going to be the passing of the torch film, where you can keep the franchise going without actually involving Harrison Ford in any like action scenes and stuff like that. So I'm cool with it. Like, I'm cool with them moving on to like a new generation of an Indiana Jones kind of character who takes over. I'm just wondering what's good, like, because we've had him fight the Nazis like 2-3 times. We've had him fight the Soviets now. Like, is this going to be like Vietnam era? Like, what's it? How far is this going to go? Like,
exactly.
That's what I'm interested in seeing, is who does Indy take on this time around.
I agree 100%. Look, if they do it like flashback materials, if it's Harrison Ford reminiscing, let's say he's in his house, Indy's in his house, and he's looking at old photos, and it reminds him of something, and it goes flashback, then you can still do Nazis. I mean, granted, it's kind of tight, but if you're doing flashbacks, you could go Nazi route. You could do different things. I would love for them to pick from the books. Back in the days, there was a couple of really cool Indiana Jones books, like the Atlantis one, even some of the video games that I've never played, but I've seen them. I'm like, damn, that's a great idea. They already went the route of aliens, or let me phrase it, interdimensional beings. They were aliens, and I enjoyed it, but, you know, yeah, you're right. Who would he fight next? The Atlanteans. But no. Yeah.
I just realized during the course of what you were saying that I just realized there's a third thing that none of us has considered at this point of making him more active in the movie, and I hope they don't do it, is if they CGI de-age him.
No. I doubt that's going to happen.
That becomes what the movie is.
Yeah, no, that would be, yeah, I don't think Lucasfilm would. I have so much faith in Lucasfilm as far as being fan friendly that I don't see them doing that. Like, that would just forget. You think Crystal Skull?
Remember who owns Lucasfilm now?
Yeah, Disney. I totally understand. I agree, but I don't think. But that's the thing. I don't think Disney would be like, no, yeah, do that instead. They're smart and savvy, and Lucasfilm, they're on point. You know what I'm saying? If the last indie film got flack, you kidding me? They DH him and they do that whole CG thing for a whole movie. Yeah, nah, I think people would be really pissed off because that technology is there, but it's not perfect, and it becomes a nice.
They're gonna keep attempting it though.
Absolutely,
going that route.
Absolutely. I think the best I've seen it. Well, not even, because that was actually Hugh Jackman looking like that in Logan. So anyhow, look, we talked about Star Wars jumping ship from December to May. It leaves December 2019 wide open. I want to get into this real quick because we're coming down to the wire. But one of my beloved franchises from when I was a kid is getting a big screen treatment again, and that is Masters of the Universe. For those who don't know, He-Man. No Star Wars, no problem, right? It's in there, right? Can He-Man, now that McG is leaving, which, thank goodness, I like McG, but I don't think he was the right fit for Masters of the Universe. But you got Matt's favorite dude, David Goyer, writing this movie. So, man, we'll start with you, man. What do you think? I mean, you weren't around for the He-Man boom of the 80s, I know that. But what do you think of this news?
I don't know. It's kind of cool. The only thing that worries me is David Goyer. Fucking hate that guy. He's just like a shitty human, and he's not that talented of a writer either. But I don't know. It's about time that we got another attempt at Masters of the Universe. But I don't think you could ever take a ridiculous concept like He-Man as a young boy who turns into a giant muscular man in a skirt and a page boy outfit and a haircut and stuff like that and make it cool. I don't think there's any way to really sell that, but you know, we'll see what happens, I guess. If it looks good, then I'll go see it. I'm kind of trying to keep my mind open for it, but I have slightly low expectations. My reaction to that was like, oh, hey, look at that. And, you know, like, good for them, I guess, but it's not, like, excitement.
Chris, what about you? Bring Dolph Lundgren back?
I mean, like Matt said, this is not, I mean, I was heavy into He-Man as a kid, but, like, as I got older, I kind of distanced myself from it. I'm not opposed to the movie, and I definitely feel like we've gotten to the point now, officially, where the technology is to the point where it can actually pull off some of the things you need to do to make a He-Man movie work. Yeah. So we'll see. It was kind of like when I read the news, it was one of those yay no moments, because like I read like McG is off the project, and I was like, yeah, and David Goyer is writing it. Oh, like it's like an immediate turnaround, and so I'm slightly less excited about the possibility of it because I know we're going to get a David Goyer version of He-Man, so it's probably going to be like sort of Zack Snyder-y in the way they present it and everything like that. It's not really going to be a faithful adaptation, and like Matt said, not that it necessarily has to be a faithful adaptation, because the whole thing about like a boy who turns into this giant muscular man, we're kind of going to get that when we finally get the Shazam movie. Yeah. So, but we'll see. Like, if the trailer comes out and it looks balls to the wall crazy action, then I'll be like, yeah. But for right now, it's just like, I'm kind of like, meh, could be cool.
Alex, what about you?
You know, hearing everyone's reaction to this reminds me of Power Rangers when it was first announced. And I feel like it's going to get, in terms of the same treatment, where the reviews and the people's their own say in it will make a difference if it will fail or not. You know, it comes down to, you know, they're getting a franchise from either the 80s or the 90s, and they're trying to make it cool again, you know, with a big budget, you know, live action, you know, movie type thing. And I feel like it does come down to the wire where reviews matter and what people will say about it, like Power Rangers. I feel like, you know, it's going to go down that route. Will it suck? Will it not? And if it does suck, then it gets bad reviews, then it's not going to make movie, and then He-Man is dead forever. But, you know, it's that kind of thing for me.
Yeah, I like what y'all say, man. I do. I'm anticipating it. I'm looking forward to it. I would love for them to look at the DC Comics and see what they were doing over there, because there was some really good shit when Masters of the Universe came out under DC a couple of years ago. It's not too long ago. Really good stories, really good. And if anything, just go to that 2000s cartoon that was really got rave reviews. I own it, and I still never finished watching the whole thing. But you can go and take some ideas from that. So I think in that vein, if David Goya uses that as a template, we should be good. And like you say, Chris, the technology's there. It's going to be interesting. Just know He-Man, She-Ra love triangle thing. They're brothers and sisters. That's nasty. But you know who's coming back? Speaking of...
I wouldn't put it past Goya to do that.
Yeah, you're probably right. But guess who's coming back, ladies and gentlemen? Dr. Ian Malcolm is coming back. Jeff Goldblum is going to be in Jurassic World 2. Is it going to be a bit part? It can't be a bit part. Is it a cameo? I don't know. Or is he going to have a role like he did in the most awesome Independence Day movie to come out last year, Independence Day Resurgence? What do you think? Alex, we'll start with you. Jeff Goldblum's back. You excited for it? In big role, small role? What's up?
How can you be wrong with this decision? I mean, I loved his scenes in the original Jurassic Park. I can't wait for him to return. I really hope it's not just a cameo. I really hope it's, an actual big scene. But, we'll see. I'm just excited because he's such a great actor. I love it every time he's in any movie. He just, he grabs my attention each time. So I hope that they give him a big part in it.
Matt, what about you?
Well, I think this will be the thing that makes Jurassic World 2 good, because I hated the first one. Thought it was bullshit. But that's a different topic. But yeah, I love Jeff Goldblum. I love that he basically just plays himself in every single movie he's been in since like 1987. And so just like this neurotic, weird, kind of offbeat kind of guy, and it'll be cool to see that energy back mixed with fucking dinosaurs. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That'll be the thing that puts me in the theater for Jurassic World 2.
I don't know why The Lost World gets such a bad rap. That's my favorite Jurassic Park movie. So, and he was the star, solely the star of that movie. Chris, what about you? Jeff Goldblum's coming back. Life found a way.
Yeah, I'm super hyped about this. Like, so hyped. Full, Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum perm. I hope he brings his daughter with him, and she's like starts gymnastic kicking raptors again.
Come on, that shit was awesome.
I want all of that. I want all of that back. Like, I dug Jurassic World. I understand why people don't like it, but like I dug it just because like the same reason that I dig the Fast and the Furious franchise. Like it just wasn't taking itself seriously anymore. Like really cool stuff being thrown at you with actors who are having fun with it. Forward to that with Jeff Goldblum thrown into the mix, just chewing the shit out of the series. Like I told you guys like 20 years ago that this was going to happen, and you didn't listen then, and you're not listening now. I want all of that. I'm so happy my body is ready.
Oh man, I'm ready for Independence Day 3. I don't care what anybody says. Give me Jeff Goldblum in space again on an alien planet, kicking alien. I'm sorry, I'm jumping off topic. Yeah, no, I'm excited too.
100% on board with the resurgence of Goldblum. That's why I like when they call it Independence Day Resurgence or whatever like that. It's like, it's not a resurgence of Independence Day. It's a resurgence of Goldblum, and I am happy.
No, he is. Think about it, man. Last year with Independence Day, this year with Thor Ragnarok, next year with Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic World 2. It's definitely a Goldblum resurgence. And plus, he's the guy on the freaking TV talking about apartments.com. So, you either watch him on TV or you get an apartment from him. You get it every way Goldblum. I like him. I like this news, and I'm hyped for it. I hope it's not a cameo. They can't make it a cameo. That would be pointless.
Nah.
You don't pay a dude that much. You don't pay Jeff Goldblum to come in as a stand-on real quick. Hey, how's it going? All right. Like you said, I told you 20 years ago. I'm out. Bye. Peace. We've got aliens to fight. Speaking of aliens.
I don't think he's an actor that really wants to do cameos. I feel like that if he's in a movie, he'll go all out. I don't feel like there's really any movies that he just comes in, says hi, and leaves, like that kind of thing. I don't think he's that kind of person.
You're right. Well,
see, that's the thing. Like, you're right. Like, so even if it does turn out that they allow him is maybe about like 2-3 minutes of screen time where he is just a cameo, it is going to be the best goddamn cameo you've ever seen in your life.
Let's hope so.
Like, he's going to eat that cameo alive.
Or the T-Rex is going to eat him. That would suck. That would totally suck. If he gets it, come up by a fucking raptor or something, I would be pissed. They need to stop killing off childhood heroes. I'm getting a little sick of that. All right?
Yeah.
Instead of killing...
Let them go out gratefully.
Yeah, instead of killing Indiana Jones in Part 5, why don't you just kill Indiana Jones 5? That would make more sense for me, and it'd make me feel better about life. But anyway...
I understand why they did what they did with Han Solo, because that's what Harrison Ford wanted. He had wanted Han Solo to die from, like, the first movie. But, like, I do feel like there needs to come a point where they start letting these people bow out gracefully and not to be like, oh, he's dead now, so now we got to replace him.
Yeah, agree. Speaking of people that might be dead, Elizabeth Shaw at the end of Prometheus went into the engineer's ship, took off with a badly damaged David android. We got a Alien Covenant prologue, if you will, this week on Alien Day. That was all sorts of fucking awesome, showing Shaw putting David back together and giving us a glimpse of the engineer's homeworld. I went absolutely nuts for this little fucking piece. And let me ask you guys, was that Noomi Rapace? I couldn't tell whether it was her.
It was.
It was?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it's fucking dope, dude. See, that's awesome. All right, so we'll start with you, Alex. You saw this. What did you think of this? Was this awesome? Should this have been saved for, like, let's say the beginning of the movie, or was this perfect as it was?
I think it's perfect as it was. Like, I want to get it any way I can get it. I don't mind if it's in the movie or the way it is now. I'll take it either way. I'm excited to see more of it. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, I liked it. I liked seeing what happens to them, because I know they didn't die, like, watching the movie. So I want to see more of their adventures and how what's going to happen to them,
Gotcha. Chris, what about you?
I mean, I feel like this was pretty much supposed to be the opening scene of the movie, to showing how they get... Because, like, the movie seems like it's going to take place where they land on the engineer's home planet and everything's dead, and this kind of prologue explains why. Because, like, that final shot... And spoilers if you're not aware, if you haven't seen it or whatever like that. So spoilers now. That last shot where, like, David opens up the thing and you see all the tanks of, like, the black goo and he's about to rain hellfire down on them.
Yep.
Like, that's pretty much what they're setting up, is that he's the cause of what wipes out the engineers. As, like, a vengeance kind of thing. Like, we went to your planet looking for answers and you fucking killed us all, and so now I'm going to wipe you out. Which is an interesting concept. Like, an android that builds, like, this thing for vengeance, which I feel like I'm more interested to see that as a whole entire movie than I kind of am to see, like, Aliens 5. But I'm still going to enjoy Aliens 5, So, it definitely seems like that's supposed to be, like, the opening scene of the movie, so I don't really mind seeing it ahead of time, because opening scenes really aren't that big of a deal to me. They just set up the plot, and then from there, as long as you're not spoiling the actual plot, I don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Like, I definitely want to see where this goes, and I think it was a really cool scene. It was a really cool thing to do for Alien Day. Like, this is what happens. This is how they wipe out the engineers, and now we're gonna get to see a really cool where we finally get the xenomorphs again.
Yeah, Matt, I'm saving you for the last word. What were your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was awesome too. I was blown away by it, but I have my own little speculations and theories and stuff on why David was doing that. He looks particularly distraught while dropping the canisters, like, not necessarily like he wanted to, but more it was like, I feel like, the first Prometheus, David did everything out of curiosity. He put the little dot of black goo in Holloway's glass of water, just to see what would happen when it mixed with the human, So everything he was doing throughout that movie was sort of based on his own curiosity. I don't think he would want to just kill all of the engineers without any answers. So I think maybe something happens to Shaw, and that he feels like he's like the engineers do something to her, or something like that, and he feels like he has to do that out of some kind of revenge, you know? Like it seems like he's developed feelings for her in a way that an android can, a la, I guess, Aliens.
Yeah.
With Bishop.
Because there was that one line that he had. He's like, I've never felt such compassion from anyone. Like, everything I did prior to this was under this guy's orders, but she showed me compassion.
Yeah, so I think, something might have happened to her, due to the engineers, and that's why he's doing it. But I guess we'll see in a couple weeks. I'm really excited for this movie. I'm more excited for Alien Covenant than I am for Guardians 2 or for Wonder Woman or anything else that's coming out in the near future, because Alien is like one of my franchises that I grew up on and I love. That's very near and dear to me.
Right. No, I agree with all of you, man, and I'm this thing had me pumped, and I cannot wait for the 19th now. So I mean, we got Guardians this week. Then I don't know what comes out the following week. I'm not sure, but then it's Aliens coming in, and that's just a freaking good ride, man. Especially when y'all see Guardians. I'm telling you, woo! 2 different type of alien movies in the span of 2 weeks. I'm telling you, it's gonna be nuts. On one side, we're going to have so much fun. On the other side, we're going to be running in fear and dread. And I really feel that Ridley Scott is bringing that back. Prometheus, to me, was an experiment. And I like Prometheus. But I think this right here, and I'm kind of glad it doesn't seem like it's setting up Alien. I never liked that idea, go down that route to set that up. You don't have to. What you're doing here, in this little, it's perfect. Just leave it there. And yeah, man, I'm super fucking stoked for this shit.
Now, here's a question for you guys. Do you think they're going to repeat the prologue in the movie?
See, that's
what we saw, maybe extend it?
It's possible. It was only about like 2 or 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
I totally think that was a scene from the movie.
Yeah, because they said Noomi Rapace was going to be in the movie, and then, so my brain was like not functioning when I saw that. So I'm like, okay, wait, so is this going to be in the movie? And like I said, I didn't know that was her at first. I'm like, is that her? I couldn't put it together.
Like, not only do I think it will be in the movie, but like we'll get an extended version of it.
Yeah.
Because this thing was only about 2-3 minutes long, but I think there's more to it than what we saw.
Exactly. We got to see what happens. They got to show us what happened to her, And like you said,
I feel like they have to at this point.
Well, I would like to see, because like you said, it was about 2-3 minutes, especially the end when they get to the planet. He's got a look on his face. There's some kind of look of contempt on his face. So I'm looking. I'm sure we're gonna see more. That was a nice little teaser. I appreciated that on Aliens Day. And yeah, I think this is gonna open the movie up until that part right there, and then boom, Aliens Covenant title screen pops up, and then we're with the crew of the Covenant, and we'll probably get that nice long shot of the ship going like in Alien 1. What was that? The Nostromo's, right?
Yeah.
Get it going. Get it going. Speaking of getting it going, we gotta get gone. Get it going. I cannot wait for we're here. Blockbuster season is upon us. From here on out, fellas, it's going to be one blast after another. We are here. Next week, we'll be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, when I could geek out with you guys about it. I can't wait for that. And
can't wait. Looking forward to it.
So, yeah, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Chris, man, thank you again for being here, even though you were a little under the weather. I appreciate you taking the time to come out and hang out.
No problem, man.
All right, Alex?
Whenever.
Alex, thank you, too.
Always love geeking out with you guys. I really can't wait to do a review on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That is something I've been waiting for many months.
You just wait. And sit. I'm telling you, don't leave the theater. Sit. There's one. Look.
Well, I already know about the 5 after credit scene, so I never leave a Marvel movie until like the screen turns blue.
I'm just gonna say this, and it's not a spoiler. This is probably my favorite Stan Lee cameo. That's not a spoiler, but this is probably my favorite Stan Lee cameo out of all of them. And when you see the movie, you will know why. I was like, that's fucking great. I love that. That was fucking dope. So, yeah, I was a lot more excited than that, but we were in the theater. Matt?
Yeah. I read something about it that I think kind of spoiled it for me. If it is what I read that it was, then I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah. Matt, thank you for joining us too, bro.
Of course. Glad to be here.
And thank you guys for listening to us geek out on this kind of long episode 5 of the Geek Out podcast. I'm G1. We'll see you next week. Peace.